So it is, if you do something because you believe philosophically in a particular direction, or because you believe in a particular ideological tendency, you have a better chance of succeeding, because they are not going to keep quiet, they are going to attack, they are going to fight back. But when it is just a coalition of people without necessarily any kind of ideology in common, or even any philosophy in common, the philosophy tends to be, oh, we just want to remove this man from power. Such kind of coalition usually is not sustainable, because often it's done out of desperation.
If you mirror the Nigerian media in the last, let's say, 2 years or so, at least there have been about three editorials by 3 prominent national newspapers insisting that Nigeria must show interest in whatever happens within the PDP because of the government in control at the center, 23 state governors, large number of seats in the state assemblies, local governments, and all the rest. With the crisis playing out now, should Nigeria be interested in, still be interested in what is happening?
I agree 100%. Whatever happens to the PDP concerns Nigerians. It's not actually only PDP, even APC, because of the number of states they come. There will always be a spillover. But the PDP is the party in power. If you look at what happened at the zoning controversy, it affected everybody. And we can say that we are more or less still battling with the after effects of that zoning controversy. Nigerians, for example, still have to come to agree or disagree whether zoning should be part, zoning and power rotation should be part of it. They are part of unresolved issues in our politics. So I agree with you. It is important, whatever happens to PDP, or any party for that matter that has some control of some government, cannot be called family affair, as they like to call it. It is not family, it is the concern of Nigerians. But I do not see the crisis the way you are seeing it. I think that's something that is natural. It is a big organization. It is either they reform or they atrophy. That is now the challenge. There are two options in the onslaught. If they don't get it right, they atrophy. If they get it right, they reform in a better direction. That's always happened. Periodically, every big organization, whether a company or operation, you go through this transformation process. You go through a crisis. You go through systemic shock that defines where you go. If you don't manage it well, you atrophy. If you manage it well, you become a new PDP. In the UK, for example, they had this period where Labour Party was associated with a particular tendency. People who were constantly concerned with bread and butter politics. And then for them to gain power, they knew they had to shed off some of those things. So they came up with the idea of the new level by Tony Blair. And it was this idea of the new level to say, look, some of these old tendencies you associated us with, for which some people felt were not electorally viable, we have discarded them. We are now ready to rule. And that's what is going to happen to PDP. If they continue to believe that these are rebels, it doesn't matter, then it means they are deaf. Because whether you like the faces of the people that are agitating or not, you have to listen to their grievances. And you have, for you to survive, whether you like their faces or not, is that you have to shift grounds. You have to reform and transform yourself. If you do not reform and transform yourself, you are atrophied. There is the APC challenge. And by all means, you have 7 governors. And then you have Atiku Abubakar. There are people with the resources. There are people who are tested in the political arena. They know what to do. They may not win, but they will give you such a credible challenges that you'll be bruised. So it is in the interest of the party itself, to listen to and transform, reform itself, because quite often it's been making a lot of mistakes. It was taking Nigerians in many respects for granted. Again, not necessarily that the opposition is better, but there are a number of things within the party that they have to recognize, one of which is internal party democracy. Of course, it goes across all the other parties. They have really to look themselves. The idea of exclusion. You cannot have a big organization like this and run it like an empire. It won't work.
Can we leave PDP for now and take a look at a growing concern outside the shores of Nigeria, but within Africa? And that concern has to do with take a trip to South Africa and take a look at the ANC as a party. Fears are being expressed that the post-Mandela era in government, the party seems to be heading to maybe a PDP experience. Although the consciousness is there, they have history in their favor over 100 years of existence and not rest. But yet, the quest for power seems not to be the way it used to be the post-apartheid, immediate post-apartheid period, and even within the apartheid period, the succession line is known and all the rest. These days you find ANC leaders, ANC member openly challenging their leaders, and some even breaking out to form splinter groups. What do you think will happen? We don't pray that Mandela will die, but it cannot remain perpetually.
Okay. Mandela effectively is no longer, is his shadow that is still in the picture. But what has happened to this ANC again is very close to what is happening to the PDP. Because even in the US, you will recall that there's hardly a party that wins election 3 consecutive times because of voter fatigue, because of this tendency that people believe that you become there, you become complacent. So it is actually that system of alternating governments, a maximum every 4-8 years, that means that, okay, you are out of power, you have to reform, you have to re-strategize, you have to go back to the drawing board in order to come up with effective plans to win an election. It is good. I really wish that we can have such a solid party, a party that will be inclusive enough. I don't see that inclusion in APC, if I must say this. Party that is inclusive enough, that is democratic enough, respects internal party democracy, and then they will give PDP a run for its money. And we hope that the government in power at that point will be defeated, not necessarily, so that they will go back, know what it is like to be an opposition, come up with effective strategy. That's what happens in the US. Maximum. It is rare. You have to go back to early period of their political history. First time, second time, they will get voter fatigue. You really need to. It's happening also in the UK. At a point, 10 years, they've seen enough of you. PDP has been there. It is the only way it can survive. It is to go back to the drawing board and reform, not just to believe that it is the biggest party in Africa. It can be the biggest party in Africa without being the smartest. So what it needs, as going back to ANC, is a natural tendency. It's not such a long party. The blacks are now in power. The novelty has worn off. So what next? Now you have the black power empowerment. What has this accomplished? So now the various tendencies that came in as a form of coalition, they are now going back. When the contradictions within the ANC, this is what is playing out. And the contradictions are no longer between white and black. It's a contradictions about vision of the society. There are ideological contradictions and philosophical contradictions. And that's going to play out. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, there's no ideological component. There's not even a philosophical component. It's a I chop component, nothing else. Forget even when they talk about power returning to a particular zone. It's a mask over their struggle for power. They don't believe in it. I can say that. I don't think deep down, there are very few of them that believe it. It's just a quest. What we call a mask over their quest for naked power. So the only way, I believe, some of these elites, the opposition parties, to get all that more inclusive, you appeal to their self-interest, appeal to their fears, bring them on board. If there's materially no difference between APC as we have them today and PDP, they are all guilty of not, respecting internal party democracy. They are not. It's difficult to pick one from the other. The fact you call yourself progressive doesn't necessarily make you a progressive. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is that what is happening now is interesting. It is a good signpost if it is managed well. If it doesn't, PDP are trophies, we're not going to cry, provided there are alternatives. And those alternatives, we put them to test, and if they